Welcome to the Las Vegas Review-Journal Judicial Primary Debates. Here's your host, Victor Jakes.
Hello, I'm Victor Jakes. Welcome to the Las Vegas Review-Journal's Judicial Primary Debate Series. Today's debate is between the four candidates running for Department 21 in Clark County District Court. Current Judge Valerie Adar is not running for re-election. We'll start by giving each candidate 45 seconds to make an opening statement, and Caesar, will begin with you.
Thank you, Mr. Jakes, and for the RJ, thank you for giving us this opportunity. Good evening, fellow Nevadans. I pray that you and your loved ones are safe at this time. I realize your focus is on the pandemic, and I certainly appreciate you tuning in to listen to what we have to say. With regard to my district court race, the one important fact voters should know and consider is that district court judges preside over jury trials. Now, my opponents, they have their own strengths and skill sets, but they simply do not have the jury trial or district court experience that I bring to the table. I've been a criminal defense attorney for 18 years, all here in Clark County. Based on that, I'm in district court on an almost daily basis for a variety of different proceedings. As a voter, you need to consider what type of judge you'd want in your trial. If you had a trial in district court, would you want a person with very little jury trial experience, perhaps no jury trial experience, or a person who spent their career doing jury trials and appearing in district court? Thank you.
Thank you, Caesar. Caesar, I apologize. Tara?
I first want to extend my gratitude to the public servants, both in the healthcare industry as well as first responders that are out there sacrificing themselves in this country, especially here in Nevada. My name is Caesar Newberry. I'm running for district court judge because I am a public servant. I worked my way through college at the Disability Services Office, advocating for people with disabilities. I spent time thereafter in law enforcement. I was a police officer for nearly 8 years. I was assigned to patrol, I was a detective, and I also had the privilege of being creative solutions. I do have substantial trial experience. I have tried many cases within the district court in Clark County. I've also argued to the Nevada Supreme Court as well as the Ninth Circuit and in federal court. I'm a mom, I'm a soccer coach. I am dedicated to this community. I provide numerous pro bono hours to the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada, representing everyday, ordinary people in consumer matters, including real estate, bankruptcy, and foreclosure defense.
Thank you very much. Bruce?
Hello. I want to thank the RJ, and I hope everyone is healthy. I am Bruce Gale. I'm a candidate for District Court Department 21. I have the most years of experience and the most diverse experience of all candidates. I have 32 years experience as a law clerk and an attorney. Prior to that, I had 8 years as an accountant and certified public accountant here in Nevada, auditing primarily hotel, casinos, and timeshare companies. A district court judge can hear 4 types of calendars: a civil calendar, a criminal calendar, a probate and trust calendar, and a business court calendar. I have significant experience in all 4 calendars. I have jury trial experience, bench trial experience. I have 2 published Supreme Court of Nevada opinions. I thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Bruce. Jacob?
Thank you very much for your time, Victor, and thank you for putting this together. I am Jacob Reynolds. I'm running for Department 21. I want to wish everybody out there listening to this a healthy time right now. My wife is a practicing physician. I met her here in Las Vegas when she was a doctor already and got married. We had our 4 kids here, and she's on the front lines now and hoping everybody is safe. I am the highest rated attorney in this race. I'm the only attorney in this race with an AV rating from Martindale-Hubbell. I am also the only attorney in this race with substantial bipartisan support. I've been endorsed by Governor Richard Bryan, Governor Miller, also U.S. Senator Dean Heller, Lieutenant Governor Mark Hutchison, and you can learn more about my endorsements at my website, www.jacobforjudge.com. I'm also fluent in Spanish. 1/3 of our county is Hispanic or Spanish speaking, and I'm the only candidate in this race who is fluent in Spanish.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. Caesar, this first question is going to be for you, but we're going to give all of the candidates a chance to answer it. In criminal cases, judges have a lot of discretion in issuing sentences. While acknowledging that every case is different, do you think your sentences will tend to be more strict or more lenient?
It's an interesting question. Thank you for asking it. By and large, I'm going to be more strict, I believe, than a lot of candidates would be. This is a question that has come up with regularity with other defense attorneys and prosecutors that I've spoken with over the years. And that question is, who are the most lenient judges as far as sentencing and revocation hearings and evidentiary rulings go? By and large, my experience and the consensus has been that actually attorneys who have a civil law background who become judges, they're the ones who, at the beginning at least of their career, are a little more lenient. And that's simply because they don't understand the equities, they don't work in criminal law cases, and they haven't seen or been part of that arena. As a criminal defense attorney, I've made those arguments. I've argued against prosecution on certain points, and I feel that I'm the best suited for ruling on those types of cases.
Thank you, Caesar. Tara, the same question to you.
Well, I think having a law enforcement background has afforded me the opportunity to see how crime affects the public. And I think it's important for a judge to have judicial temperament, and that comes from life experience as well as legal experience. And so coming to the bench and ruling on issues on a criminal docket, I think I will use both the context of my life experience and my legal practice to issue fair rulings. Every case is unique. Every set of facts and circumstances has to be taken into consideration. And in rendering sentencing, I think judges need to take into consideration the facts of that case, as well as any pre-sentence investigation and the circumstances surrounding the arrest and the individual. And what it serves the community at best is an impartial and fair sentence based on that individual case.
Thank you, Tara. Bruce, what about you? How do you anticipate what do you anticipate your sentences will be like?
I cannot opine generally whether my sentences are going to be more strict, more lenient. In my 32 years of experience of criminal law, first with a district court judge, Wendler, who was a district court judge here, I reviewed pre-sentence investigation reports and have significant experience criminal law in private practice. I'm going to look at the merits. I'm going to look at the facts. I'm going to look at everything that's in front of me and make a decision based on the facts of the case and the appropriate law.
Thank you, Bruce. Jacob, what about you?
I think it's a difficult question, but for me, I think a lot of good answers. I would say that for me, I'm looking for the prosecution to handle its burden, generally speaking, is beyond a reasonable doubt. They need to, in my court, you're going to need to meet your burden. And if you meet that burden, depending on the crime, it's going to be a harsher sentence or a more lenient sentence. You're looking at first-time offender versus third-time offender. Are you looking at what kind of crime are you looking at? Are you looking at violent crime versus non-violent crime? And so for me, it's going to be more prosecution better meet its burden. Everybody better be professional, and we'll see what the facts say.
Thank you. Our judicial primary debates will continue in just a moment.
All your listeners and followers, the best name of any podcast in the world is podcast.
Nobody's ever done it. Nobody's ever faked
Not that we know
death.
of.
No.
When you work with Prince, you got to get used to the fact that he changes musicians like underwear.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, he's a quarterback in the Boston area.
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
And welcome back. You're watching the judicial primary debate for Department 21. It's part of an ongoing series of debates produced by the Las Vegas Review-Journal to inform local voters about these races. Tara, this question is for you, and we will give people a chance to respond. Tara, do you think any of your opponents are unqualified or unsuited to be a district court judge?
I don't know professionally several of the candidates, so I don't think it's fair to comment on that. I think it's when you're looking for a judge, you're looking for judicial temperament, you're looking for experience, and you're looking for competency. And I think that given my background, I think I am the best candidate of them all, because none of them have law enforcement background, and none of them have experience being a public servant and the heavy burden that carries. I took my duty and oath quite seriously, and I served with compassion and with a sense and dedication to justice. And I think that's what you're looking for in a judge. And that's what I offer that the other candidates don't have. As far as how they practice as lawyers, I've not encountered any of them in the practice of law.
Thank you. Bruce, same question to you. You know, Tara was very gracious. Do you feel any of your opponents are unqualified or unsuited?
No, I would never say that. What I would say is that I believe I have the most diverse experience to handle all 4 types of calendars. I don't know that I don't know what exact experience all my opponents have. Again, my primary areas of practice, I've handled all 4 types of calendars. My years of experience, based on just the State Bar of Nevada's admission dates for everyone, I was admitted 14 to 19 years earlier than some of these people. Again, I've had experience in the criminal calendar, the civil calendar, the business court calendar, probate and trust calendar, a lot of complex litigation. And I know that everyone else has that.
Jacob, what about you?
No, I'd agree with Tara that I've actually never practiced against any of the other attorneys in the race. So I wouldn't be able to say more than that, other than just to say, you know, I believe your personal and public life, once you become a judge, you need to act in a way that is responsible. And I know that I can act that way, that I believe if the voters of Clark County nominate me as a judge, that they could also be proud of me to serve.
And Caesar, how about you?
I have to echo everybody's sentiment. I've met these individuals. I've spoken with a number of them various times. I happen to like them from what I've gathered. I can't speak to their legal acumen or what kind of work ethic they have. I obviously can speak to my own, and I'm a very hardworking person. The areas of law that I'm not very familiar with, I will learn on as quickly as possible, get up to speed there, and I have a decided advantage as far as the criminal cases go. So,
thank you, Caesar. You guys are all very very respectful to each other, so I appreciate that. Bruce, this question is for you. Will you describe your judicial philosophy, including if you view the Constitution as a living document, or if you believe a judge needs to uphold the original meaning of the text?
Well, I'd like to use a baseball metaphor like Supreme Court of the United States Chief Justice Roberts used. I'm playing baseball. I'm an umpire. I'm calling balls. I'm calling strikes. I'm not a legislator. I'm supposed to apply the facts to the law, and that's my job. And where sometimes it gets problematic is when attorneys haven't properly briefed a subject, and that's a whole nother discussion. But I'm gonna follow the law. That's simple.
Thank you, Bruce. Jacob, what about you? What's your judicial philosophy?
Mine is an originalist, constitutionalist, and also a textualist. So the Constitution says what it says, and it means what it meant. If we don't like what it says, we have the ability to change what it says. And that's it's prescribed in the Constitution how to do that, not through judges. So that's my judicial philosophy. I've been published a couple times on that already, and we're sticking to it.
Thank you, Jacob. Caesar, what about you?
I believe in judicial restraints. I think that judges can get in trouble when they overreach and they go through mental gymnastics or some kind of tortured logic to get to a desired result. If a judge simply applies the laws to the facts it's given, then they'll come to the right result. I believe the Constitution is a living, breathing document and has to be taken into consideration. It provides a framework for our modern society, but certainly we have to take into consideration the developments and issues that can come about now in the 21st century.
Thank you, Caesar. Tara, what about you?
Well, I believe in the rule of law. And as judges, we're charged with applying the law, and the Constitution is an element of that. And I think that when a judge is faced with an issue of first impression, you have to look to legislative history sometimes, that essentially when there's case precedent, you apply the law. And that's my position from a judicial seat in district court, we're charged with applying the law and the precedent in Nevada that's established by our appellate courts.
Thank you very much, Tara. Stay tuned. This debate will continue after these messages.
The Vegas Nation podcast is your source for all of your Las Vegas Raiders news. Subscribe and get fast takes and smart coverage. Download the Vegas Nation app and check out vegasnation.com to stay up to date with your Las Vegas Raiders.
For all your Raiders news, like us on Facebook, download the Vegas Nation app, and go to vegasnation.com.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. You are watching the judicial primary debate for Department 21. Jacob, this question is going to be for you. You've defended politicians from both parties before the State Ethics Commission. How can the public trust someone who's defended politicians accused of violating the state's ethics law?
Well, I like to tell people I got sick of all the jokes about attorneys, so I got into politics. But anyway, I know that it's not the most popular thing, but I firmly believe everybody deserves a fair defense. And I know that politicians get a bad rap across the board, but I think that's why I have bipartisan support. People see me, and I think even if you contacted the members of the Ethics Commission, they would know that I'm a straight shooter. Also, that's why people on both sides of the aisle support me, because they know that I can see both sides of an issue, and I see it as a strength more than a weakness that I've got that strong bipartisan support.
Thank you, Jacob. Caesar, you've spent your career defending those accused of crimes. Can voters trust you to hand down stiff enough sentences to keep dangerous criminals off the street?
Absolutely, 100%. As I referenced earlier, I think I'm probably going to be on the more strict side as far as sentencing and revocation hearings and perhaps even evidentiary rulings. But the thing is, that's a product of the experience that I've had as a criminal defense attorney, and knowing the hidden equities that might be involved in a case, some issues that might not come up, or that I would recognize that another attorney without my background would certainly see. And so I would certainly take each case into consideration on their own merits, but I think it would serve me well having a criminal defense background, and I'll certainly be tough on crime.
Thank you, Caesar. Tara, before beginning your legal career, you worked as a police officer. If you're elected, will police receive preferential treatment in your courtroom?
Absolutely not. If a police officer is charged with upholding the Constitution and applying the law in a fair manner, and the justice system adjudicates. And so, sitting as a judge, that experience gives me framework and reference. Law enforcement will be treated as everyone would be treated, fair and equitably. A courtroom is a place for the litigants in a civil matter, defendant, as well as the prosecution, to be heard in a criminal case. And to sit as a judge in those matters cannot go out any preference to anyone. That defeats the oath that we would take in upholding the Constitution and serving as public servants as a judge. And so I take my oath very seriously and would apply the law fairly and equitably and in a compassionate manner.
Thank you. Bruce, one of the areas of your legal experience involves the adult use of marijuana. Can the public trust you to hand down appropriate sentences to those accused of drug crimes?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I became involved in marijuana in April 2014, when the legislature was going through the legislative process. I will be fair. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. We'll be back with our final segment in just a moment. Welcome back to our judicial primary debates. We've got time for one last question, and this will just be a yes and no question, and then we'll move to closing statements. Caesar, we'll start with you on this question. Nevada's public records law states that its provisions must be construed liberally to carry out the important purpose of allowing the public prompt access to public documents. In numerous cases, the state Supreme Court has reaffirmed that as well. Will you commit to liberally applying Nevada's public records law in any public records case that could come before you? Caesar?
Each case is different, but my tendency is to say yes. There is information there that is valuable.
Thank you. Tara?
I will apply the law and follow the precedent that's set by our Nevada Supreme Court.
Thank you. Bruce?
I will apply the appropriate Nevada Revised Statute section, Nevada Administrative Code, and any guidance from the Supreme Court of Nevada or our Court of Appeals.
Jacob, what about you?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you. And we'll go to closing statements. Jacob, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for hosting this. I am the only AV-rated attorney in this race. That's the highest rating you can achieve as an attorney. I'm the only attorney with substantial bipartisan support in a time when we need bipartisan solutions. I hope all of us can appreciate the importance of bipartisan support. And I'm the only candidate who's worked for 3 different federal judges. And I hope with that experience, you can trust me to be your judge. Thank you very much. I'm Jacob Reynolds in Department 21.
Thank you, Jacob. Bruce?
Thank you, Las Vegas Review Journal. And again, I hope everyone's healthy. Experience counts. I started my judicial career as a law clerk in the district court, and I want to end my career. Voters, I think you want someone who has experience in all 4 types of calendars: the criminal calendar, the civil calendar, the business court calendar, and the probate trust calendar, who's handled cases from the district court level, trial level, to the Supreme Court with 2 published opinions. I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. Tara?
I'm a public servant, and I have dedicated my life to helping others and understanding the criminal justice system as well as the civil aspects of jurisprudence. I have substantial trial experience. I have represented just about any kind of person or business that's out there, whether it be a first responder, a nurse, a physician, a real estate agent, and many of the hardworking union people that we have here in Clark County. I'm going to take that experience, the life experience, the work experience I have, and my dedication to our community and the volunteering that I've done to mentor youth, as well as to provide legal services to our community.
Thank you. Caesar?
Thank you, Mr. Jakes. When I'm not practicing law or spending time with my family, I like to volunteer and give back to the community. I'm a member of the Phil-Am Power, Nevada Phil-Am Veterans Group, Spring Valley Lions Club, and I'm the past president for Hope for Prisoners. Recently, due to the pandemic, I've been involved in creating a food bank and food distribution efforts here through Clark County. Last thing I want to say is that I'm proud to say that I'm endorsed by the Culinary Union, SEIU, whose members include district court clerks and court staff, IBEW Local 396, and this week I got word that the Nevada Veterans Association has also endorsed me. Thank you again for tuning in, and stay safe and healthy, Nevada.
Thank you, Caesar, and thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. I hope everyone watching enjoyed this edition of Nevada Judicial Debates. Remember, you can find this program and more information on all the judicial races at reviewjournal.com. We'll see you next time.